Good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Paris City Council. Today is Monday, November 10th, and it's 5:30 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order. Move to item 2, which is the invocation by Reverend Bob Bush and the Pledge of Allegiance by Aaron Jenkins, if he doesn't mind. If you'll all please stand.
Join me as we pray. Almighty God, we thank you for our city. We thank you for our country. On the eve of Armistice Day, really, when years and years ago at the 11th hour of the morning, on the 11th day of November, firing ceased. And now we commemorate all those who have served. Many have fallen. Some have worse than fallen with injuries. We thank you that we can discuss, debate, and decide and decipher the right thing to do in a peaceful manner. We thank you for those who've gone before us to empower us to do just that. And we thank you so much for the city officials of this great city. Many of them have to go in harm's way from time to time. And we thank you for this city council. We thank you for the citizenry that's interested enough to stand by and discern and discuss and listen and debate. Guide them in all that they do. We'll give you the praise. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personnel appeals, are not appropriate for the Citizens Forum. If you would like to speak, please come forward, sign your name, and...
I am James Price of 1230 Shiloh Parish, Texas. City Council, I'd like to speak to you one more time. I save the city of Paris some money and the people of Paris some money by working and trying to help y'all, help me, help people out in the community come together. I left my number last. I heard from nobody except Councilperson Jenkins, Councilperson Hosmer, and Councilperson Sue Lancaster. And the city manager, no people I heard from, I left number with you, Mr. Mayor. Please call me this time, please. Other night we had a P&Z meeting, Dr. Cosberry, I'm not picking on you, nothing, please understand it, but now you understand how we feel on this side of town. We've been working about the covers, and we've been a lot of years, been dealing with mosquitoes a lot of years, now you understand. Please help Councilor Lancaster, she comes forward. Mr. Pickle, thank you for helping me the other night. We got the fact I had insurance. I now have workers working on liability insurance for all my workers. So I would city don't have to be paying no money out in case I get hurt. Please get in touch with me. I have plans for the city, the coverage, and the vacant lots of the city. You spend $1 million, can they clean the seal sitting there? Sitting off to Alabama, let's keep it in the city of Paris, got to do it again, I don't know. But anyway, appreciate your time and effort. You have my number is open. Please call me anytime, day or night. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else desiring to speak in the Citizens Forum? If not, we'll close the Citizens Forum, move on to agenda item 4B.
Is Miss Lancaster not coming today?
I've not heard anything from her.
Oh, that's strange.
It's not. You want to read it? Oh, okay. All right. Item 4B is a proclamation recognizing Lamar County United Way's dedication and service to the community. Before I read the proclamation, I just wanted to ask the council's indulgence for just a moment and say, from a personal opinion, what a great job this organization does for our community. I think far too often we don't focus on the positive and the good things that are going on in our community, and this organization is extremely representative of what the service we should all desire to bring. They year in, year out, go above and beyond anything that we could ever hope to as an organized unit, and I'm just always blown away by their successes. So with that, I'll read the proclamation for the United Way. During World War II, Paris created a war chest to raise funds to assist the USO, and local leaders expanded this worthy wartime mission to include local youth and social welfare agencies into one united effort to raise funds for all, which came to be known as the Community Chest. And 4 youth welfare agencies were included in that 1943 United Drive for the Community and War Chest funds: the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, King's Daughters, and Salvation Army. And 71 years later, these same agencies are included with 18 additional ones to make up today's 22 United Way funded partners. 100% of the goal funds raised by today's United Way in Lamar County stay in Lamar County. The board of directors are all local citizens who live and work locally, and all funding decisions are made by volunteers who live in Lamar County. The 2014 funding goal was $550,000, yet the preliminary campaign total is already $632,744, with more pledges and donations to come. Donations are grouped into the following categories: commercial, 9%, schools, 4%, government, 2%, business and professional, 4%, healthcare, 3%, and industry, 78%. This year's leadership givers, defined as those who contribute $4,000 or more to their community, include Turner Industries, Kimberly-Clark, Campbell Soup, First Federal Community Bank, Liberty National Bank, Paris Regional Medical Center, Paris Junior College, Paris ISD, North Lamar ISD, the City of Paris, Toyota of Paris, Harrison Walker and Harper Incorporated, People's Bank, Atmos Energy, and Encore Electric. The employees of Turner Industries, Kimberly-Clark, and Campbell Soup alone contributed an incredible $475,000 back into the local community and economy with their selfless donations. Now, therefore, I, Matt Frierson, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2014 as United Way Appreciation Month in Paris, Texas, and congratulate and thank everyone in Paris and all of Lamar County for their willingness to give generously and to make a real difference in the lives of their neighbors. At this time, I'll present the proclamation to April Carl, and I've asked her to say a few words if she chooses.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, council members. I'll wait for him to get back.
Wait. Have you got your phone? Yes. Go back out there and get a picture while you're up, please.
I thought this way in newspapers.
Well, I know, but you know how they are. Speaking of devils. There she is. Perfect timing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, council. I'm April Carl. I'm the executive director of United Way, and this is Emily Bowden, the administrative assistant. We represent United Way in our community, but this is your United Way. It is the volunteers who have freely given of their time and talent that enabled us to raise over $655,000 during our 2015 community campaign. This money is not raised at a big gala event where donors get to display their generosity in front of their peers during a live auction. This money comes from the hourly workers in our local businesses, schools, financial institutions, manufacturing plants, and local individuals. These individuals give generously, and we have a saying, those who make the least give the most. Moreover, because of their generosity, most of our employers match these donations. Kimberly-Clark, 100% match with every dollar their employees give. Campbell Soup matches 50% of everything their employees give. And Turner Industries always gives a generous corporate campaign or corporate gift. It is through this combined giving, specifically among our industry division, that we are able to announce these amazing totals. It's the animal control worker who makes about $9 an hour but still reaches in his wallet and hands over a $100 bill. It's the teacher's aide at the Paris School District who has faithfully given $250 every year for as long as anyone can remember. It's the Turner industry worker who gave $1,000 because she knows firsthand the impact this money has on people's lives. She was served by the New Hope Center when she fled an abusive spouse. It's a Kimberly Clark employee who stays after their night shift to participate in the annual auction, bidding aggressively on items that have been donated by local businesses. It's the bank teller who gives her fair share of 1 hour's pay each month. It is the Campbell Soup line worker who became a super share giver because by increasing his contribution to help meet their goal. Your United Way of Lamar County has a strong foundation of support in this community. Because of this support and generosity, we committed all of that $550,000 in investment grants to 22 partner agencies who are serving human needs in the areas of education, income, and health. These are building blocks for a better life, and each and every person in Lamar County has or could be served by one of these agencies. From the newborn infant who tested positive for drugs because they were used in her home by the Children's Advocacy Center, to the Vietnam veteran who sits by the front door awaiting his noon meal and the only interaction he'll have with another human through the Meals on Wheels program. From the abused child who has a voice in court because of CASA for Kids, to the single mother who receives child care assistance from the King's Daughters so she can go to work every day. From the 1 in 3 children living in poverty in our community who has a safe place to go after school because of Boys and Girls Club, to the wealthy homeowner whose home burned and the American Red Cross showed up to help them pick up the pieces. Many of us are lucky enough never to need the services provided by one of these funded partners, but someone close to us definitely has been helped. United Way is a catalyst for positive, lasting change in our community. We are making impact through the agencies we fund and through the programs we administer. The Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, otherwise known as VITA, is run entirely by volunteers and last year brought back more than $579,000 back into our local economy through income tax money returned and money saved in preparation and advance loan fees. The Family-Wise Prescription Drug Program card saves Lamar County residents more than $10,000 every single month on prescription drug costs. The Lamar County Homelessness Coalition that was formed to address needs in our community. United Way helped to convene the 50-plus stakeholders who joined forces to address challenges facing our community. The Food for Kids Backpack Program sent more than 4,000 meals home with elementary-age students so that they would have healthy food during the weekend. This is your United Way of Lamar County. We are a local nonprofit agency managed and operated here in Paris, Texas, by people who live, work, play, and give here in our community. We are humbled by the generosity shown during the 2015 campaign, and thank you for the opportunity to share our appreciation.
Thank you, April.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate that. Okay, with that, we move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone on the council have any items they wish to discuss or move from the consent agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Motion by Dr. Hashmi. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Pickle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to the regular agenda. Janice?
Discuss conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance considering the petition of Greg Wynn for a change in zoning from a single-family dwelling district number 2 to commercial district on Lot 20, City Block 222B, located at 130 Northeast 25th Street.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Proposed land uses for a glass auto installing business. The future land use plan recommends this property for low-density residential, which, as you know, is traditional single-family homes. This property, however, is bounded on 3 sides by commercial use, and we believe that rezoning the property will create a more unified and consolidated commercial district in large measure, even make it more developable as years go on, because it's a more logical-oriented piece of property. The staff recommended approval. The Planning and Zoning Commission last Monday unanimously recommended approval for this zoning change. Would be pleased to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Any initial questions from the council before we conduct a public hearing? No? Okay. So we will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for this, please come forward. Anyone opposed? No? With that, we'll close the public hearing. Any further discussion from the council?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion from Dr. Hashmi to
I'll
approve.
second.
Second from Mr. Pickle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item number 12.
Discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance considering the petition of MTG Engineers and Surveyors on behalf of David Robinson for a change in zoning from an agricultural district to commercial district on Lot Part of 7, City Blocks 318, located in 3100 block of Northeast Loop 286.
Thank you. As you see from the zoning and land use graphic, there's a strip of commercial on both sides of 286. Historically, that has been there for some time. The proposed land use is for a restaurant and additional future commercial uses, which the applicant indicated he will be asking for in the future and will not request a zoning change, will use uses already existing in the commercial district. The future land use plan recommends this property for retail use. That entire strip across the area, while it's zoned commercial now, this piece is zoned agricultural in the middle of it, and the comprehensive plan describes in the retail form, which is proposed in terms of the long-range plan, retail use, and specifically a restaurant is indicated as an approved use there. We recommend approval. The staff did, and the last Monday, the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval for this zoning change. Be pleased to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Any questions from the council at this point?
What is right next to it? Looking at, okay, yeah, that's
Yes. Alan, the only question that I think I have at this point, and we don't want to jump ahead, but before everyone gets a chance to speak, would you like to go ahead and tell us about the drainage issues here?
Yes, I will refer to the specifics to our Director of Engineering, Mr. Napier, but Dr. Grossnickel was the only individual who spoke last week at the Planning and Zoning Commission. He began his discussion by indicating that he's not opposed to this development or to the rezoning, but he raised several issues regarding drainage, standing water, mosquitoes, and other long-standing civil engineering and environmental-oriented issues. And also present typically at that meeting is Mr. Napier and the project's engineer. Both addressed Dr. Grossnickel's comments, indicating that they were aware of them. Some are short-term, others are long-term, and that they would be addressed at and during the planning process. Beyond that, I would invite any more direct questions to Mr. Napier, who also has a broader knowledge of this as well.
Okay. Sean, would you like to?
The subject properties here, kind of here where I'm moving the mouse hand around a little bit, zoom in here so you can see the property. This is currently under review by FEMA in order to relocate the floodplain. We'll turn this off so you can kind of see the middle in between the two little gray lines is called the floodway, and then the areas outside that are just the floodplain. And several years ago, I guess almost 10 years ago or so, Mr. David Robinson, who owns this tract, went in, and this creek really was kind of flat, not really, kind of non-existent, and he dug a channel, as you can see, running down outside this property. Then it cuts across the back of the property, going to kind of the middle here, which is right next to, well, it is Dr. Grossnickel's property here on the backside. And that channel, from what we've seen on the floodplain maps, the new floodplain as proposed and being reviewed by FEMA will be contained within that channel on these two subject properties, being the one that's here tonight for a zoning change, then the one to the left or to the west here. So that's one issue that's being looked at by and addressed by FEMA currently. Like I say, that was submitted back this past summer, and they're currently reviewing that to hopefully approve that and issue new floodplain maps that show the creek or the floodplain retained in that creek channel. Dr. Grossnickel's problem, I believe, is more of which we'll turn on the floodplain map again. You can see two distinct channels coming together here. If I back out a little bit. One here goes through the Toyota property to the east, and then normally would join up. However, going back through this channel is no longer here. The water has to flood down Center Street, down to the other channel, really floods out the entire roadway. I know I've got a picture showing from right about this area, just north of these buildings, looking back to the left here or to the west of that entire area completely flooded, which does happen on a regular basis when it does rain because the water can't get out. And that's one of the issues we talked about Monday night at P&Z, is this is a larger issue that needs to be addressed with how to get the water from both of these two creek areas all the way through to the larger creek and out 195 onto Stillhouse Creek. So that's really the kind of a broad view of the overall drainage in that area. I'll be glad to try to answer any questions you may have.
Sean, if you could take the floodplain off, I just wanted to point out that where you show there's like across that corner of the green, there's a brown channel there, and that actually does still hold water. In fact, it's pretty much holding water that whole corner. There is a higher spot here, but I used to be able to get back here and shred, but I can't anymore because this really does go all the way to the tree line there, and deep in those trees there is a creek, but it doesn't actually take on any water anymore from Center Street because there's not a culvert that crosses from the south side of Center Street. The culvert's useless. It's set kind of high, and the water, unless it's really flooding, doesn't even enter it. And the creek bed sort of dried up and not really being used. But it's just that this used to be usable, and now it's just kind of a soggy, mosquito-ridden area on both sides. And I think that happened a lot when that that dirt ditch was dug. There's like a retention pond downstream from where Toyota is, but I don't know that really helps stop that flow. But there's a lot of cattails and water plants that only grow in boggy areas that are next to Mr. Moore's boardwalk storage building facility there. And Mr. Moore is out in the audience, as is Mr. Kozel, and I believe they'll want to speak when it's time on the public hearing. But anyway, that's just a concern. I know that land has to be developed, of course. It's just a question that there's already a big problem, and every time we've added more things on the loop, it's gotten worse. You know, starting with La Quinta and the addition at the back end of Toyota Paris. So now you've got both sides of the street. The ditches are filled in. I mean, they need serious cleaning out, and perhaps the roadbed could be raised a little bit and even better, it could be paved, which would provide a back egress for people in the Holiday Inn and the Days Inn hotels. Those dual hotels are kind of blocked in by one entrance from the loop, and if they ever had a fire and brought in a ladder truck, they would have no way to get out of that parking lot. But Center Street could be a help ease congestion from provide another entrance and exit to the loop. I'm just saying that in the future that might be something to consider. But I am going to recuse myself. I'm not going to vote on this issue, but I'm just kind of now speaking in terms of the public hearing.
Okay. Any other discussion from the council at this point, Mr. Napier?
Can I?
Dr. Hobsbawm, sure.
Is this the same kind of issue that we were dealing with the Ford dealership? That the floodplain, at least for the time being, till FEMA has not changed plans, is going through this property?
Well, this one, in fact, cannot do anything until FEMA changes, because where they're wanting to build the restaurant is right in the middle of a floodway, and our own ordinance says we can't write a permit for that. So that's one thing that's holding up the entire process right now as we speak.
But now, on the last time when we discussed this, you said that you can give an approval and it'll go back to FEMA, and then FEMA will okay it or deny it.
Correct, and that they're in that process now on this particular property. They've already sent in the request to change the actual floodplain, and that's what's under review currently at this time from FEMA to hopefully change that. And that's what I was trying to address earlier, is the plan that's been proposed shows that the channel, and I'll zoom in here a little bit so you can see this channel. Let me kind of draw
Well, I
it
see the
out.
channel, but the issue here is still the fact that when it really rains, you've seen properties right next to it flooded with water.
Correct, and that is another problem that we need to address with Center Street itself, and take all this drainage into account to try to make sure that this area flows properly when when this area is fully developed. We need to come up with a plan to address that. Maybe it's segmented in pieces where we do parts of it at a time, but kind of like Dr. Grosnick was saying, that would be part of that process, is to come in and address that. But first of all, make sure water is flowing and not being dammed up and blocked somehow.
But why do we need to do that when our current plan of the changing of water in sewer lines, when it goes across the loop and you're putting a new pipe on the loop, which is a much bigger pipe, why can't it drain to the front?
Sewer or drainage, Doctor?
I'm sorry?
I didn't know, restate the question?
The area gets flooded, correct?
Yeah.
Isn't there a drainage pipe being put through on the loop?
There is one, turn this off and you can kind of see parts of it. You can kind of see parts of it right here. That's what comes under the loop from, what it is now is where the Parish Travel Center is in the car wash here. That's currently here now, and that water comes around, and this box culvert's being covered over. It actually starts up here and goes through the parking lot and over, and you can see parts of it right here as well. And then it drains across through that wooded area, which is not there now, down to this ditch on the inside of the loop over to the outside, which I believe is right about here to, well, not quite that, but that's close.
Explain to me one more time. Why can't you issue the permit now?
We can't issue any permits for the proposed restaurant because, turn on the floodplain map, this area in between the gray here, these two gray lines, is called the floodway, and our own ordinance will not allow us to issue a permit for anything in the floodway.
Not floodplain, but floodway.
Floodway being an area where your water is supposed to flow constantly through. Floodplain is where it backs up into.
And we didn't have that issue last time?
The
That was
other
not
one-
in the floodway?
The floodway did not affect the Parish Ford lot.
Okay.
This
So
one
this is a separate thing?
That is your. that's
That
your
was
major
not in the
difference.
floodway, that was just floodplain?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
But Sean, this is just to change the zoning, right?
Yeah, this is just the zoning change for the lot, and I'll turn on the zoning so you can kind of see what Alan was addressing there. The green is agricultural, and you can still see the lot with the yellow lines. This piece is already zoned commercial. The PD is planned development, and I believe the B here is, or H, is hotel, and then you've got hotel, retail, or other development districts down here on this end, but they're relatively all the same. And as Alan was saying, the future land use map shows all retail for that entire area.
Explain to me one more thing. There's some confusion in my mind still. Which one is La Quinta and which one is, that is La Quinta?
La Quinta's
Okay,
here.
and this is Holiday Inn.
Yes.
Okay.
Holiday Inn Express, yeah, and Comfort Inn and Suites.
Now, since this drain, you said David Robinson dug this trench.
Yes, sir.
Does he own both tracks?
He owned, at one time, he owned this piece, still owns this piece, and he did own this piece as well.
Okay, so he didn't just own this piece and then dig this.
No, sir. He owned it all when he did that.
Okay, okay.
La Quinta is the one which had the water problem last time, correct?
Yes, sir. They had a problem with, well, they had multiple problems, but most of it was
Yeah.
involved with standing water in the front of their parking lot, trying to drain out to the west, which there are now underground pipes that pick up water. Well, you can't really see them. That's an inlet that carries water from in front of Jack in the Box across, and then there's pipes underground here that carry this water west here. And I think you can see possibly where they empty out right here. There's two pipes right there that empty out. Kind of hard to see.
And if this is just a zoning change right now, if we change the zoning, we are still not going to affect anything else.
No, sir, they will still have to submit plans, and by state law, they still have to do detention requirements for any flood water. They'll still have to go through that entire process. But what this does is gives us one step closer to allowing the zoning change. And they also submitted a preliminary plat to P&Z Monday night that was approved as well. But more or less what that does is enable them to now submit civil site work plans and possibly do some of the civil site work, which included a segment of roadway, water lines, sewer lines, and some storm sewer work in the back.
And if we approve this right now, are we obligated, the next thing you know, will they be asking to repave Center Street?
I guess they could ask that at any time. There's really no obligation, I would say, on your part.
Are we up to a motion, or are we
Well,
going to
we
have a public
do
hearing?
Public hearing first. Any other questions from the council at this time? If not, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for this item, please come forward.
I guess I'm
Yeah.
for it.
You're for it?
Yes,
Okay.
a little bit.
Please go right ahead.
Okay, my name's Monty Moore, 1415 Boardwalk. I own the storage buildings that back up to the creek on the east side of all of this property. And some of you know we were up here 10 or 12 years ago when we did our development. We have 18 acres there, and we were putting water. The biggest problem that we ran into after about 4 attempts at getting zoning, they were turning us down because we were going to create more water down on Center Street. And so we had Cheney Engineering do a survey over this, and it turns out that no matter what you do up here, the Center Street's going to be underwater because the water doesn't get through there. What he was trying to tell you earlier was about the flow is going to be the problem. It's also their responsibility to make sure that they're not adding to it, which can be done with the water retention and stuff. But my main problem is who's responsible for the ditches. We have 2 ditches there, the one that David dug that takes care of all of that coming from up by First Federal, and then we have the one that comes under Toyota Paris, which is mine. And I can tell you about the one, it's not on my property, it's on Greg Marr's property, which butts up to me. And there's telephone poles in it that have floated down there and are stuck in it like this, which prohibits the water from getting through there fast enough. As the water gets through there, and you can see all of this, if he'll zoom in right to the east just a little bit, right where that yellow line is the creek over here to the right there. You can see where the creek actually looks like a creek, and then it dies right there behind that one building, and it turns into a flat spot. Well, because Center Street is slightly higher than everything down here and has a 12-inch pipe to handle this, I think Toyota Paris has 8 or 10-foot box culverts, 2 of them, that come through there, and then it gets to Center Street, and there's a 12-inch pipe for it to go under Center Street. Are you following me?
Mm-hmm.
It won't work. Center Street is elevated, it causes all this to back up, and consequently, up there you have problems also. It causes problems all the way down this street. It backs all the way up. Well, he just said, as this land develops, we can do something about that. Well, what came first? The chicken or the egg? Are you gonna keep letting people develop? We'd like to add on to ours. We're gonna create a little more water there, but if you're gonna have development, you can't stop that, but you gotta fix this. So when are we gonna fix the problem so that the water can get out of there adequately? It also goes all the way, just like he said, across 195. That's stopped up over there too. That ditch has grown over with trees and roots. It used to be a nice laid out ditch there, and it's all grown over just like this. So who's responsible? Who's responsible for the water and the waterways? Is that a city? Apparently it falls some part on the city because we spent north of a couple of $100,000 at 24th and Lamar on engineering and digging, and the city actually did a lot of the work themselves on property there where it floods. So if the city is responsible for the flow of this ditch, they need to get on it and get it fixed. Center Street, like he said, and I'd like to, like Dr. Grossnickel said, is a great cut through there. As all of this develops out there, people coming from the hills and the Elk Hollow area out there come up, and they have to come all the way up to where we put that turnaround, where we brought us in Park Place, and they come through our development, which is fine. But if they were going to the west end of that part of the town, they could cut through there. It would, and I don't know why it's right that the city would allow for a street in an area like that to remain a county road with a gravel road with a low water crossing. So there's a lot to be done out there, and you can bet that we better hope that the people develop upstream from this, because we got to keep growing. And if this is going to continue to be an issue forever, we got to deal with it sometime. Why not now? Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure you can.
Why are you in favor of it?
I'm in favor because it's development. I am in favor of the project. It does need to be overseen and stuff. People were against my development because of this water. They're going to continue to be against the developments. We're not dealing with the issue, Dr. Osby. We're deal with the issue, get the water out of there, and you won't be having people up here. This stuff will go right on through. Anything else?
That's it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm David Williams with MTG Engineers, here tonight on behalf of Mr. Robinson and the proposed restaurant developer. We're in favor of this rezoning that you have before you tonight. It's necessary for this property to develop. I don't think it's the vision of the city that this remain agricultural property. We'll tell you that Mr. Robinson several years ago did improve that ditch across his properties. Yes, part of the ditch is no longer on his property, but as the FEMA study that has been submitted to FEMA, reviewed and approved by the city, his improvements maintain the water that's crossing his property within the channel. I cannot speak to what Mr. Robinson may do with the remaining property that he's not selling to the proposed restaurant developer, but I can speak to what the restaurant developer will do. They will develop their site in full compliance with all the city drainage and development ordinances, and we would ask that you would follow the recommendation of City Council, of Planning and Zoning, and vote in favor of this rezoning. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wanting to speak in favor? Alex?
Alex Kozel. I'm in favor of this development. What I'm not in favor of is moving forward without a plan. We need to have a comprehensive water plan. It's it's engineering, I believe. I'm not an engineer. I see from my business endeavors that it's going to require, when you move a floodway, I mean, that's engineering. You're bringing earth in. You're changing the flow of water. And so Center Street's built out. Let's say it's built out, it's redone, culverts are put in. Well, once you move the floodway, what happens to that water? Does it go around? Does it create another problem somewhere else? Does it move down the stream faster? I live on the other side of Dr. Grossnickel on 195, and over the years, with the development of Home Depot and what else? The hotels, that particular area, I've seen the creeks. I've seen the sediment and silt build up and push water further and further back up the stream. On the other side of 195, it's a mess. There's beaver dams, there's trees that are laying over. It may not be an immediate problem for the developer, but as a citizen, the water plan, I think, is very important. I think retention ponds, over-engineered maybe, if that's a fair enough term, should be highly considered. There needs to be some alleviation for people downstream. I get so much trash off the loop, it goes right through Richard's property, right into mine. I believe it's going to require a strong water or hydrology plan to help alleviate people downstream. Again, I am for this approval and look forward to going to Wendy's. But there has to be some things done in between. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Alex, could I ask you one question?
Yes,
Am I understanding right, can Sean move the map to show 195 and the area beyond where Mr. Kozel's house is? Does that part of the creek, does it not continue on toward TSC and end up actually kind of?
It goes to a soil conservation lake that's behind the hills.
Oh, that big one that's behind?
Right.
Okay, Abbey Lane kind of?
Right. Here you see the red dotted line. This is the city, I guess the city line to county.
Correct.
Can I be corrected?
Yes.
What is the setback there? Any idea? Whatever it may be, there.
You're right, Alex.
On the north side of.
See, it's you right there.
Right.
Here's the creek you're talking about.
Right, and here you can see standing water right there.
Both sides.
Both sides. It's going to require some intergovernmental communication. TxDOT has some right-of-way in that on either side of 195. The county starts over, where would that setback be, Sean, from the red line to 195? 50 feet?
No, much further than that.
120?
500.
500. The north side of 195 is a large issue, in my mind. It may not be to Mr. Robinson, but as soon as this water, you put more concrete down, that's pushing water downstream faster. It will build and build and build. And with more silt, more soil, it's something that concerns me.
Can you follow that creek up, Sean, to that large conservation lake that he's talking about? Because I thought some of this actually took a dog leg and went back kind of under the loop near, where the Ford dealership and all that we're already talking about.
It's a different, TSC's back here, Dr. Gersnigel.
Okay.
Zoom in a little bit. You can see it here. That's a different floodplain. They both end up going to Stillhouse Creek, but as you can tell, you can see the two legs here now. Here's a spur in TSC, and then here's the one on 195.
Okay, Sean, can you bring this area with the floodplain in it? My house is in the floodplain. This is, what, 2014, 2015?
11, I think. It's actual flood.
You can see when the water hits 195, it spreads. I mean,
There's
it's,
a dam here.
well, this is basically a,
You can turn it off and you can see it better. It creates a
I mean,
dam.
it's damming up. And this, my home was not in the flood zone, or the floodplain, excuse me, 10 years ago. How accurate this map is with the, the relationship of how far this plain goes out, but there are some residents in the hills coming up in this general area that have similar issues. I guess that's not City of Paris thing, but was that taken in this?
Not that area.
No. Okay. My concern is water hydrology and what's going to be done to alleviate my concerns.
Sure. Thanks,
Okay.
Alex. Yeah, that's, drainage is a very predominant point of reference around here these days. So obviously, this is one more critical thing we'll have to address.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I'm Anna Spencer, and I live in that area. I live across.
Ms. Spencer,
Sorry,
can
Ms.
you
Spencer.
please bring the mic closer?
Yeah, thank you.
I live east of Dr. Gross-Nichols' property, and I think I can furnish some expertise on this area. I walk down Center Street for exercise pretty often, and I'd like to point out some things. It is true that the waterway was changed on this man's property that is south of Center Street. From there, the ditches are all full. Most of them are higher than the street. They need cleaning. That would give a lot of relief. The main creek, which is it runs behind Dr. Gross-Nichols' house. I don't have a mouse to bring it up here. But that creek is, it's full. People have dumped things down there illegally. I know there's at least one mattress in that creek. It needed cleaning. And then after the ice storm, there is limbs, and that mattress is hung up on some of those limbs. The creek is filling up. It's almost level just north of Center Street. As I walk down that road, I can see the buildup in there. I was sitting back here counting. I think I counted 7 culverts that have been put in this road over the years. They put a culvert in, and as someone has already explained, you've got a huge amount of water coming from the loop, and when it gets down here, it has a pipe about this big. And all of these culverts that they put in, there's 2 problems. They're small, and the water is running like this way, and they put a culvert in that goes this way. Now, I'm not anything like an engineer, but it doesn't make sense to me that you've got water running this way, and all of a sudden you want it to turn and go this way through a small pipe. Right now, there is this will be the 8th culvert I know that's in there, and it is about this big. And the main thing, I see 2 waterways there. At one time, Mr. O.L. Rainey owned the land that Reno, Vegas, and those streets run through. He developed that, and when he did, he built the streets, and it turned all of that water coming off of that hill into giant gutters. It hit 34th and it run north. I've seen water running totally across the street there that would be more than knee deep when a hard rain. And it was flooding the people out on to the north on 34th. And the people banded together and they approached the city numerous times. One day, Porter Smallwood stopped at my house and borrowed a topographic map that showed the water did not need to be running north. The land slanted to the west. At that time, there was 2 storm sewers put in, very large pipes under that street. And all of that water runs down to another creek that is directly west of Mr. Moore's storage buildings there. Now, that one is the one that has the pipe about this big going across the road. It will not carry the water. On all of these others that is there, you can't go out there and see them because as soon as they get there, a road maintainer comes along and pushes dirt off in the ends of them and stops them up. And so they just come along and they put in another pipe. And right now, one of the main problems with that small pipe that's absorbing all of that water that's coming off of those streets to the east, it has a beaver dam on it. And it's backing the water up. They've got them a real nice little lake built out there. Another thing I would like to mention, I believe it was Mr. Moore that mentioned the Center Street. A lot of people would like to use that, but it gets gullies washed across it. It gets places washed across it that you can't pass in a car. And I would like to see something done with that street where the traffic could cut through there. Then there is another street, Oak Street, that ran to the east, and the city allowed a man to put a gate across that road, and I begged them not to, but they allowed him to put a gate, and that people would cut through there to get to Pine Mill Road. And so they can no longer do that. That's another thing I'd like to see addressed. But that's the problems I see with, if that creek would be cleaned out, it's a sizable creek, and if it would be cleaned out, at least get that mattress out of there, a lot of water could flow through there. And that runs directly behind Dr. Grossnickel's property.
Ms.
Thank you.
Spencer, I have a question. So what are you saying? Are you saying that the council should approve it with the idea of cleaning that up, or the council should not approve it? What are you favoring, I want to know?
Well, my opinion would be to clean it out and see if that relieves the problems. And then how long would it take to clean it out, to clean the ditches out, and to clean that creek out? Or whose responsibility is it to clean the creek?
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. Anyone else wishing to speak for the zoning change? Anyone wishing to speak against the zoning change? No? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Any further discussion from the council? No? If not, I'll take a motion on this item. There's one to be made.
So moved.
What's the
Two.
motion?
I don't know what it is. I guess that we approve the
The zoning change
zoning change to commercial, is that right?
from agricultural district to a commercial district?
Yes.
Okay,
Because all
so,
we're doing is
right,
approving just
zoning.
zoning.
Okay.
No-
So we have a motion from Mr. Pickle to change from, to approve this item. Is there a second? I'll second it. Okay. Any further discussion?
I'd like to discuss this.
Okay, sure.
You know, even the last time when we were doing this, I'm opposed to, I mean, I understand we want to develop businesses, but by the same token, developing businesses while we are flooding other properties and we don't know what else will get flooded, you put more cement over here. Right now, we are seeing a flood map going two sides and draining backwards. You don't know once you have put more concrete and more cement, what is going to happen and which direction the water is going to take. And so, I mean, on the one hand, I don't have a problem approving or voting for the motion, but I think without the motion, without addressing the issue which is at hand of what do we do about the drainage, I have a hard time with that. I think either we should, I mean, the city is obviously responsible for cleanup of the ditches. So either we should make it part of the motion that the ditches be cleaned out so that at least we see what happens there. And without that, I think other than creating more problem for the people who are living there, and there may be not a lot of people, I mean, maybe Dr. Grossnickel, and maybe we should let it happen, I don't know.
Thank you.
Sorry. But the thing about it is that the fact of the matter is whether it's him or somebody, even if it's a single resident, I think it's unfair to that resident to let the whole thing be flooded. I think it's just not a fair thing to do for the city. And so my suggestion on this would be that, okay, we approve, but I think the city should be compelled to, I mean, whether it's the mattress or whether it's whatever it is, if there's anything in the ditch, and I'm not saying to go to private people's property to clean their property, but the ditches are not private people's property. It's our responsibility to clean up the ditches. And while we are wanting to promote businesses and allow rezoning, I think it's a wrong thing to do to let things be flooded on somebody's property. And so I think we should absolutely decide today that what we are going to do, whether the first step is to clean up the ditches and see what happens, and if that doesn't help the situation, to make a future plan that where is the water going to do, whether we're going to put another line in or what.
Sure.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I think this is the first step, because if we just leave it like it is, then nothing has to happen, because it's just a vacant lot that's zoned agriculture. But if you make the first step by changing the zoning to commercial, then they've got to start putting plans in place to develop, which would impact what we do on Center Street, what we do on the drainage that's within the city's responsibility at that point.
If I could interject too, you've got two issues. One is zoning and one is drainage. And I would encourage you not to mix those two together or make zoning contingent on the city doing something with drainage. I think you could run into legal issues there. People have a certain rights to apply for zoning and request zoning and get that approved or disapproved based on the merits of that specific case. What I would suggest, because clearly there are a number of issues, and there have been. I know the first week I came to town, I met Dr. Grossnickel, and we talked about it back then. We'll bring back to you, staff will bring back to you at a future agenda, probably January, we'll try for December, and come back to you with something of a plan and know a few more facts, because most of these, I don't think we have public easements, for example. Dr. Hoshby kind of referenced that. A lot of it's private property, but we'll get educated on that more and come up with some kind of ideas and plans. But both things need to happen, but I would encourage you not to mix and match them in one single motion.
I think that's fair. We don't have to mix it, but I would
we'll bring it back to you for sure.
But I would still encourage, before you develop plans to put, I mean, at least let's clean up the ditches and see what happens.
Right.
Maybe that'll help. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay. Any further discussion from the council?
But really, all this is here is a zoning change. It's not to
Yeah.
build anything.
Correct.
It's just a zoning change.
Okay.
Okay.
With no other discussion, we've got a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Dr.
Motion-
Grosnick,
motion
did you vote or not vote?
I guess I voted yes
Okay.
for the zoning.
Okay. All right. Item number 13. Ms. Ellis, you want to
Certainly.
lead us down that road?
Discuss and provide direction on employee salaries budgeted for 2014, 2015.
There were originally 4 parts to this, and of course EMS, we've already talked about previously, and that was effective at the beginning of the fiscal year. The other 3 parts, fire, non-civil service, and police, are expected to be, are scheduled, planned, budgeted to be effective January the 1st. So that's why we had time to bring it back and discuss it with you again. And I'm just going to talk about each part separately and get any comments or try to answer any questions you have. First of all, let me apologize. I think I've not explained this very well because I hear things from here and there that are not quite right or not quite accurate, or maybe there's some misunderstanding. So I'm going to try to, I don't want to beat this to death, but I'll try to be a little more thorough. And our pay plan is confusing at best. As I've mentioned before, I'm not really a fan of what we have, but it is what we have, and so we work with what we have. So anyway, I'll start off first of all with the fire department. For a number of years, we have had a 7-step plan within all of our non-civil service positions, and then also the fire department has a 5-step seniority plan. By contrast, the fire department, which is our other civil service department, doesn't have any of that. As a result, once you become a full firefighter, as long as you stay a firefighter, that's it for you. And literally last week, we had a 30-year firefighter who retired, 30 years with the city of Paris, and he made exactly what somebody that had been here for 10 or 12 months was making, because there were no raises for that whole time unless the whole system moved forward. So we just think, for one thing, for equity's sake, you should have the same thing for the fire department that you have for the police department. And for the other thing is, as I've mentioned before, a 30-year firefighter is maybe not a better firefighter than a 28-year firefighter, but a 15-year firefighter has a lot more experience and a lot more knowledge than a 1-year firefighter. Right now, we're paying them the same thing. The way we are trying to phase this in is creating a step plan that would be just like the police department, in fact, the very same numbers. Because of cost, I've only budgeted to create 3 steps the first year instead of 5 steps. That would give all of the firefighters raises except for 2 or 3 that are rookie firefighters, still on probationary status. We think that would help with turnover. We think it's a lot fairer. And then finally, this is something I've not mentioned before, when I was putting the budget together, we had basically a balanced budget when I decided to try to do something with raises in a couple of these departments. I went to the fire chief and I said, here's how much money I need for raises. You need to take it out of your budget. So if we take this money from the fire department budget and spread it out all over the whole city, there's a real unfairness to that, because I made him take it out of his operating budget. I had to make him take it out of training and supplies and equipment to pay for raises for firefighters. So if we don't give those raises to firefighters, and I hope you will, I trust you will, I'll learn a lesson not to ever make a department head give up money to pay for his own raises if we do that. So I think that's something you need to know too, that's how we paid for these. I did the same thing in the police department. I went to the police chief and said, Chief, I want to give $20,000 in raises in your department, but you've got to pay for them by cutting stuff out of your budget. We had already reduced a vehicle out of his budget before that. So this isn't just a pot of money that's just out there from nowhere. I made fire and police pay for their own raises. So I would, for that reason, if nothing else, I would ask that you keep them in the police and fire departments. Does anybody have any questions about fire at all? Or yes, sir.
Mr. Frank?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to take names because their salary is written on these, because that would not be fair. The gentleman, if you look at this, the gentleman who's listed at 1416.77 as the raise, when did he get the raise last time? Am I right in seeing that he got a raise last year too? Or he got a bonus or something?
You're on firefighters?
Yeah.
You're saying on what, and he's on what year? I'm sorry, what was the date again?
I'll bring the paper.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the date there is the higher date. The 28 is the number of years service, total service. He's gotten a raise not in the last 10 or 12 years at least.
So what is that 1889.03 number?
1889, I don't have it on mine. That's the hourly rate, I presume.
It can't be 1,889 is.
Oh, not the hourly, that'd be the bi-weekly rate.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we pay every 2 weeks. That must be a bi-weekly rate.
And
I left that column off of my printout for some
okay,
reason.
and then the 1416.77 is what?
That is at 14.667.
1,400.
Okay, that's going to be the same thing. That's going to be a bi-weekly rate as well.
So what does this show? What does this paper mean then? Is he getting a raise, not getting a raise?
Yes, he's getting a raise. The number on the far right is the amount of raise he would get for a year. That's what that 14 is. I'm sorry. Again, I left off, when I printed this, I left columns off of my
So
pages for some reason.
he's getting a raise of 1416.77?
For the year, yes.
Okay. And then above that is the 4,200.30. For
That
1, 2,
is,
3, 4, 5, 6,
added
7.
together, right, $700 apiece for 7 people, 9 people.
Okay.
Let me back up. Here's what's maybe a little of the confusion. There's 2 different totals there, like the 5,600 number. That's how much it would be for a whole year, but we only budgeted for 9 months. So 4,200 is 3/4 of what it would cost for the whole year.
Okay.
So
So the
that's
actual raise that person's getting is 1889, not 1416.
right, because they're only getting it for the year. They're only getting it for 3/4 of the year.
Okay. And that is where I have a little concern that the person who has served 13 years gets a $700 raise. The person who served 28 years, which is obviously more, gets an $1,800 or $1,900 raise. Is that not a discrepancy? I mean, how does...
It's again, it's based on steps, numbers of years in those positions. In the police department.
And the same holds true for the person who has worked for 3 years and 9 years, because the person who's worked for 3 years is getting $600 and the person who's worked for 9 years get $600. It's maybe it's my understanding is wrong. I don't know, but
So you've got it here with 28 years.
There's 3 different steps here. If you're in step 1, the additional money would be $600.08 a year. If you're in step 2, the additional money would be $699.92 a year. And if you were in step 3, it would be $1783.86 per year. So those are the only 3 steps. And those are based on years of service.
okay, and there's no step 4?
No, there's not a step 4 and a step 5 because they didn't have enough money for that.
Okay, but then where does the 1889 come from? I'm not trying to beat this issue to death. I just want to be sure in my mind that...
Yes, okay. Another thing that's confusing about it, the officers, and I have to use that word carefully, people of rank, captains, lieutenants, they have 1 step only. They don't have 5 steps. In the police department, they have only 1, and that's that larger number. So in the police department, it's going to include, and we'll see that in a minute, the assistant police chief, the lieutenants, however long they've been in that position, there's only 1 seniority step. So either you're senior or you're not. So
that's over and above the 3 steps of the other.
No, it's separate. It's not in addition to. So yeah, if you're a firefighter in this case, there's 3 steps that I'm proposing right now. There's 0, and I'm proposing going from 0 to 3. And if you're of rank, I'm suggesting you go from 0 to 1.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's why there's 4 different numbers instead of 3. I forgot about that part.
Okay, if the total amount for the firefighters is 39,000, if it was just spread equally amongst all firefighters, that doesn't become a significant amount for everyone.
Well, there's only 2 people not getting the raise anyway, so it would make virtually no difference at all. And those are people that are still on probation, which we wouldn't be giving them a raise either way. So fire department...
No, I understand you wouldn't be giving a raise, but there's a difference of somebody getting a raise of $2,000 compared to somebody getting a $600 raise. That's what my question is.
Yeah, and the reason for that is if you had had a step system in the fire department the whole time you had one in the police department, that person would have gotten a $600 raise 10 years ago. He would have gotten a $700 raise 8 years ago, and he'd be getting a $1,700 raise now.
Where's the step for the first step is like from 0 to 5 years?
It is 1 to 2 years for step 1, 3 to 4 for step 2, 5 to 9 for step 3, 10 to 14
Okay, well,
for step
that's
4.
police. Go to fire department.
That's and that's it. It's going to be, so 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 9.
Okay, then there's a problem here between there are two people who are at 9 years. One is getting 600 and one is getting 700.
Probably depends on what day of the month his raise is. Or what, not day of the month, what month of the year. It may just be that when I put that together.
They're exactly hired from the same day.
Okay, well then I probably made a mistake.
Okay. All right.
Okay, but I'm a little bit confused. You shouldn't.
Well, this was supposed to be the easy one, so
No,
we're in
I
trouble.
know. But okay, you've got. It looks like you've got really just 3 tiers: a 600, 700, and a 1783.
That's correct.
Okay.
For all of the firefighters.
All the firefighters. So their years though are. I mean, you've got some that are. Are you saying anybody over 9 years?
Well, anybody over 5, because we don't have a step 4 or 5.
Okay, just anybody over 5 period.
Yeah, in this case,
okay,
it'll be
up
5
to,
plus. Right,
up to
right,
29 or 30 or.
Right, because we don't have a step 4 or 5,
Okay,
and I don't
okay,
have enough
okay,
money to even
okay.
ask for
But
one
if
yet.
that is the case,
Then
then why
yeah,
is
so
the-
in here, 5 and 116 would be the same thing.
Yeah, because it's these
We don't
are
have anybody
all.
that old except maybe Larry, but he's not on the plan.
So the
But if that's the case, then why is this 699 and why is this 1783?
well, that's 15.
Okay, but he just takes.
Well, no, but he somehow he didn't. You've got the way this looks is it at 15 years you're at step 3. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
at
16 years.
well at 16 years you're the same, but from 15 years down to 9 years you're at step 3.
No, it's
No,
not,
step
because
2.
look over here. This is 600 for 9 years and this is 699 for 15 years. I thought this was going to be a short council meeting,
Yeah, I did too.
but I
Okay,
can't help it.
It's like, all right, so 1 to 13, 1 to 13 years would be 600. The way this looks. Then 13 to 15 would be 700. And
No, because
yeah.
one person
No.
got
Oh, no, wait,
1800.
no, that's 15. I'm going to 13. And then I'm saying 15 and above is the 17.
But this, oh,
Well,
why,
this
why
one, 'cause
then
that one,
it's
see,
15?
well, see the year, the time of the year. He got hired in January and that one was in June, so this was really
John, do you
14
have
and a half.
this in, for lack of a better term, do you have it just written, not individually, do you have it as a formalized plan?
Yeah, what it amounts to is 2 things. There's $39,000 in the approved budget for raises for the fire department. That includes all but 2 or 3 firefighters, and it varies because it was August when I put those numbers together.
No, it's all right.
Would get raises, and they would get raises based on seniority, exactly the way the police department does. And if there's a math problem on that spreadsheet somewhere, we'll fix that. What I need is for y'all to say, that's okay.
I'll personally say it's okay for the fire department,
Okay.
but I'm as confused as where I started from.
Okay.
But it's okay if if it's a math problem, please fix it.
Okay.
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 That doesn't mean that I'm okay with others. So
I understand.
I have a question about that.
Yes, sir.
So you said that they took it out of their budget this year.
Right.
What happens next year?
Well, that amount of money is already in their budget. I will, depending on what the budget is, I'd like us to be able to add a step 4 and a step 5 at some point in the future. But I can't predict that yet because I don't know what kind of resources we'll have next year.
So that they cut their budget this year, but next year they're gonna go back to asking what they were asking for anyhow, plus this. So that means the overall budget's gonna go up, right?
Probably not. We didn't have hardly anybody's budget went up this year.
So when you say they took it out of their budget, they just reallocated the funds? Is that right?
Right, yeah, I mean, their budget didn't go
It's the
down.
same number.
I
They
just said, hey, I need you take $10,000 out of your training budget and take $6,000 out of your supplies and take $2,000 out of here. I'm making up numbers and line items. And so, yeah, if I was the fire chief, I'd probably say, hey, you know, last year I had to give you $8,000 out of my training budget. I'd like to get it back, and I'll say yes or no, depending on what else is going on. And, you know, it'll be just like any other budget year. We just have to, you know, to say yes to some things and say no to a lot of things because our resources are always going to be somewhat limited.
Well, that's 14 and a half,
Is there,
probably.
please continue.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So, on the non-civil service employees, and this is where I think we really got off, and I don't want to try to explain the whole step and grade system, but there's 7 steps and 75 grades, so that means we've got 500 different pay rates for 150 employees, which I'll say again, I think is ridiculous, but that's what we have. So, as part of that system then, if you're not on probation, you're not in trouble, you're an employee in good standing, you get raises automatically, pretty much automatically. There's a few exceptions to that. There's only 2 or 3 or 4. At 6 months, at 1 year, at 3 years, at 5 years, at 7 years, and at 9 years. So people that have been here from 1 day to 9 years, they get a raise either every 6 months, every year, or every 2 years. So a majority of our employees got a raise last year, or they got one this year. And if they got one last year, they'll get one next year, and if they got one this year, they'll get one year after next, automatically. So when we looked at these, and here's some actual examples. A clerk, and I don't have names, wouldn't give them if I could, but there's a clerk, these are real people. He or she, I think she, got a raise December of 2013. That means she'll get a raise in December of 2015. Now that's the way it exists right now. This is not my plan. This is how it would happen if I didn't come up with anything. We have a director who got a raise in February of 2013. He'll automatically get another one in 3 months. So it's got nothing to do with how high you are in the organization. It's got nothing to do with whether you make a lot of money or a little bit of money. It matters just how long you've been in your particular job. That director's been in his or her job less than 9 years, so he's going to get an automatic raise February the 2nd or 9th or something like that, just in 3 months away. And then those next 2 examples, there's a plant operator. He got a raise in June of 2014. He's going to automatically get another one June of 2016. Again, you get a raise at least every other year. But then, working right beside him is another plant operator too, got the exact same job, works side by side. He got a raise in December of 2009, and our current system says he'll never ever get another one. If he works there 30 years, like that firefighter I talked about, he'll never ever get another one. I've got a maintenance service worker right there in the same department. He got a raise in February of 1997, and our current system says he'll never ever get another raise. So when all of us managers looked at this together and we said, those 2 guys at the bottom are the ones that should be getting the raises, not the 3 at the top. So when we talk about let's spread out that money and give it to everybody, or whether it's by percentage or by dollar amount, what would happen is we would take money that's budgeted for those 2 people at the bottom, the plant operator 2 that hadn't had a raise in 5 years, and the maintenance service worker that hasn't gotten a raise in 17 years, we'd take money from them and spread it out amongst with that clerk and that director and the other plant operator who are already going to get raises and give them bigger raises. So that's why, again, and I apologize because I think I've not explained it very well, and maybe I'm not explaining it very well now, but to me, it's really obvious, I hope, if I'm explaining it well, I think it's obvious, that there's the people we're trying to give raises to are people that are not otherwise going to get a raise ever again, and in some cases, here's an example, haven't gotten a raise in 17 years. So it might be a maintenance service worker, it might be a director getting a raise, might be a director not getting a raise. It has nothing to do with your rank or your title or whether you work with your hands or your pen or your brains or your calculator or whether if you're other than fire EMS and police and sworn police officers. It's based particularly on time and jobs.
How did that plant operator get a raise in this year and get in 616, and this other plant operator got a raise in
because the second plant operator has had that job longer. He's been there over 9 years.
So this other plant operator,
he's been there maybe 5 or 6 or 4 or something like that.
But pretty soon he's going to be maxed out too, right?
Yes, he will eventually. unless we add a step, in which case, and that's why I mentioned before too, adding an 8th step helps every single employee if they stick around for 9 years, because they'll all get an extra 8th step. It won't just help these, it'll only help these 20 or 34, whatever it was, this year. It'll help another 10 or 15 in 2016. It'll help every single employee here over their lifetime if they stay here for 9 years. So if you just started working last Thursday, if you stay here for 9 more years, if you approve the 8th step, it'll help you.
Okay, you're telling me then, since 1997, there have been no across-the-board raises?
I assume there have been that, yes. But I'm talking about individual raises for individual persons.
Okay, so this guy may have gotten a raise from 97.
I hope, gosh, I hope so.
But he got the same thing that everybody else got, and not a step raise.
So like, it's like when you had an across-the-board raise, you had people that got the across-the-board raise and a step increase, and he only got the across-the-board raise.
Okay.
So he's been behind his coworkers since 97 or since 09 or since even some of them longer than that.
Okay, then I have a question on this.
Yes, sir.
Then if that is the case and you're trying to be fair, how does this person who was hired 35 years ago, when that person's last raise was in 1988, why is this person not getting a raise this year? Because you've written down no raise for this year.
It's probably a title that may not be on the pay plan. I don't know.
Well, if it's not just that title, it's multiple people. Poor dispatcher has been working for the last 22 years, and they're not getting any raise in spite of the fact that the last raise they got was in 2001.
A number of those people, it's not based on how long you've been with the city, it's been how long you've been in the job. For example, you may have worked as a plant operator 1, or you may have worked as a maintenance worker, or you may have worked as a library paraprofessional. For example, this is a real life example, we had a library paraprofessional that just moved into dispatch within the last few months. I'm not sure how many years she worked at the library, but it's how many years you're in your job, not how many years you're in with the city.
But now, don't you think that's unfair? The poor person did work for the city?
Well, they're not doing the same job. The thing is, it's not just to reward people as a thank you for working with us, although I think there's some legitimacy to that. The notion is that if you've been doing your job for 9 years versus 1 year, you're probably better at it. Now, that's not always the case, but typically, experience means something. Typically, if you do something a long time, you're better at it. I've been doing this 28 years. If I'm not better now than I was 27 years ago, then y'all should fire me. Not that that's a suggestion, but most people, the longer you do something, the better you get at it.
Okay, but then I'll have another question. Then how come the person who's worked for 1 year is getting a raise this year?
In the existing system?
Yep.
Yeah, because that's the way our system works. You get a raise in
not
6
in the
months, you get
existing
a raise
system.
in
I'm
1 year.
talking about the new system that you're proposing.
No.
There's a person who's worked for 1 year and is getting a raise.
Well, that's not going away. Those automatic raises are still there, so that's why.
He's adding an 8th step, not.
I'm not taking away those other ones. I'm just adding an 8th step. I'm not taking away 1 through 7.
This is not step. It's just 1 year of service.
Yeah, and at 1 year of service, you'll get a raise.
If they 1 year.
Because at 1 year of service, you go to step 3.
These other steps.
And you don't think it's unfair that the person who worked for 1 year in the job is getting a raise, and this poor person, just because they moved to another department in the same city, whose finance and everything is the same and may have worked for 1 year in the new job, doesn't get a raise just because they are in the...
Well, I mean, I think that could depend on what the skill set is that they're doing. Don't you
I
think?
understand, but it's still 1 year.
Yeah,
if we are
I
comparing
know,
1 year to 1 year, then... And if that, if it's
not
the
all
same...
jobs
skill-
are the same.
Okay,
Your
okay,
job
but
is
then,
the same.
okay,
so.
then if that is the case, then let me ask, 1 second, let me ask one other question. Then there are people, if you're going to compare that way, should the hourly wage of a dispatcher be same as the hourly wage of an EMT? I'm just curious.
I think that's in the eye of the beholder. John, would you like to take us through the process that you went through with your department heads?
Well, let me go back. First of all, 3 things in response to the initial question. One is, to clarify, that's not something new I'm proposing. So if y'all all think that that's a horrible, unfair mess to have a step and grade system, You've heard me say that 3 times tonight and probably 400 times since you've met me, so I won't argue that point. That's not something I'm creating. My creating an 8th step has nothing to do with whether you transfer from the library to dispatch and you don't get a raise right away. I can certainly argue that you may be right on that, but that's not what this item is. Even so, I can say, most of the time when somebody moves from one department to another, they get a raise. They don't usually do it laterally. It's very unusual. And again, the example I gave, she went over there because it was more money. So she did get a raise when she moved over there. She also, depending on what step she's in, she'll get a raise every year for the first couple of years, and she'll get a raise every 2 years until she's been there for 9 years. So she's not maxed out. She's not one of these 8th step people. She's not maxed out, or he's not maxed out. They'll continue to get raises. And again, since I've been here, there may have been 1 or 2 people that have moved departments at a lateral rate, but I can't think of an example. It doesn't happen very often anyway, but almost always, if they go from one department to another, it's to get a raise. Otherwise, they'd stay where they were. So it's kind of an apples and orange sort of a thing, if that makes any sense.
So what you're saying really is that this is obviously not a perfect system, and the job and the role that your department heads and you came together is to try to modify and make it more equitable.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, you've got the way it's set right now. If y'all had not budgeted this extra money, about 150 people were going to get raises anyway, 140, something like that. I don't remember the numbers now. What we talked about, and this is our job as managers to manage those funds. We looked at who's not getting raises. Let's give those people the raises, not give people that are already going to get 1 2, because that just doesn't seem at all fair. And it's as simple as that. A lot of this other stuff is exactly right. Dr. Hoshby's got several good points, but they're not part of the step 8. It's just some problems we have with the existing system, or one could argue that at least. That, maybe that's some things we want to talk about in the future and change next budget year or before the budget. If you want to talk about it, I'd suggest doing it before the budget. But yeah, I mean, it's just simple as that to us. And again, I'll be happy to try to answer any questions or clarify that, because I'm afraid I'm still not being clear. But you've got a bunch of people get raises automatically every other year, and a bunch of people don't. And those latter people are the ones I'm trying to help, because I think they deserve it.
Any other questions or discussion from the council?
I'll ask one other question, because I really don't think it's worth discussing, quite honestly, but I'll ask one question. When the EMS raises were talked about, I was first told that the hourly wage has gone down.
Correct.
And the total overtime hours will be charged more,
yes,
so that they can be, in the whatever civil service or whatever
right.
you wanted to do, so that their total amount will be the same, and $1,000 will be added so that their salary doesn't drop.
Correct. Their annual salary will go up.
Okay. As I see it over here now, in the paper that you've sent me, it says that besides that $1,000, because that means they really didn't get a raise. I mean,
without the $1,000, that's correct.
No, not just without the first $1,000 to equate it, the drop in salary that you have for them, plus the additional hours of overtime that you've put in, to bring that number to 37,082, which is what you've written down.
Right.
You've given 1,000 then. Then to bring it to 38,082, you've added another 1,000, which I'm not complaining. I think that's fair.
No, that's the only 1,000 that got added. We simply.
But when I met you in the office, you told me that 1,000 was brought to take it to 37,082, not to 38,082.
Oh, well, then I misspoke.
Okay.
They're currently, they were making.
So they will get a raise.
Right, they did get a raise. Yes, absolutely they did. Their annual pay went from 37 a year to 38 a year.
And this is without any over and above extra time they do. If they do over and above extra time, they will get paid more.
They'll get paid more, correct.
Okay.
So they should get at least $1,000. And the reason that helps them otherwise than that, like you say, with more, is because they start earning overtime more quickly. And to refresh y'all's memories, EMS folks got paid like firefighters until October the 1st of this year. And that is that they didn't start earning overtime until they'd worked 212 hours in a 28-day pay cycle. Well, we changed that, like the rest of the civilian employees, they start earning overtime any hours over 40. So they get into overtime a lot quicker. So even though the hourly rate, the base rate is lower, you're going to have a huge number of overtime hours compared to straight time hours under the old system. So that's the reason that the rate's different for base hours, but you have a lot more overtime hours. I'm talking too much, so I'll stop. That's going to make it more confusing.
Could you move the slide to the EMT if we're off?
I don't have an EMT. I didn't have an EMT slide because
Okay.
that's already in effect. So
You one for the police?
I do. And police is fairly simple as far as understanding it. I think they have a 5-step seniority plan, and just like for the non-civilian folks, that a whole bunch of people are maxed out. They got to step 7, and they've never gone forward. We have a whole lot of people in the police department that got to step 5, and that's as far as they've ever gotten. So we're wanting to create a step 6, essentially, for police officers and police people, sworn officers, and that would be 21 of the however many we have, 60 some odd sworn officers in the department. And so, like I mentioned, I think already, that similarly to the fire department, the money for the raises, I went to the police chief and said, you need to pay for it yourself out of your own budget. So, plus the vehicle we reduced this year.
Well, you tell me, the policemen, I don't have my papers, but tell me the policemen that are not getting the raises.
Here you are. The policemen, a majority, again, like the civilian folks, they probably got a raise last year, or they'll get a raise next year, or they'll get a raise the year after next, or both. These are the ones that aren't getting a raise otherwise. You don't get raises quite as fast in the police. Again, 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, and 15 plus. So those raises don't happen every year, every other year like they do in civilians, but there are automatic raises. So the ones I'm talking about are people that are not getting automatic raises, but that are maxed out and won't get any more raises unless we change the system.
Can I ask one other question in this, since we had brought that point up? Can I ask Kent that question? Your EMTs, their hourly wages are what? I mean, I'm sure there is seniority at but ballpark, what are their hourly wages? A new EMT. Okay. That's the junior most person who gets hired. And what is for the police department, Mr. Hundley?
I don't know the hourly, the yearly would be around 37.
Okay.
But that's all a different time period.
Okay. And maybe Gene can answer better. Firefighter?
Firefighters, their annual is 36.
No, I'm just talking about the hourly beginner.
It's around $11 an hour, but we work on a different schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We work at 24 on, 48 off. So their hourly rate is lower. Yeah, they got more hours.
You work 2,912 hours in a year if you're on 24/48. You work 2,080 if you're on 40 hours.
And let's say dispatch. What, Gene, do you have any idea?
Dispatch starts right around 11, 12.
Okay. So EMT and dispatch are kind of similar.
Except for different time periods. Dispatchers don't work the same amount of hours that EMS does.
Okay.
Any further discussion from the council, or John, you have more on this, or?
No, again, I'm sorry this has been confusing, and I certainly take blame or credit for my part in that. But it really is an effort on our part as the managers of the different departments and of the city to try to help out those people in the city who otherwise have not gotten a raise in a long time and can't expect to get a raise anytime in the future unless we change the system. So this is our effort to do that.
Well, see, what bothers me, why I ask about policemen, the ones I see that are not getting a raise are the ones, what I call out there, they're out there working, they're out there patrolling and everything. They're out there doing the work, and they're not going to get anything.
But most of them are. Again,
But
those
you-
folks that are not listed as getting extra raises here, they're in that step system, so they're gonna get a raise every year or 2 or 3. So they are gonna get them. Just like all those city employees that are in steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, all those police officers in steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are getting raises. They're getting them automatically. So that's why I'm not talking about them. They're already being taken care of.
Again, I guess I go back to the fact that I'm glad that we get to talk about giving people more, regardless of how it all shakes out. That we're not
Amen.
talking about scratching departments or cutting back services to make sure that we can make ends meet. So that's a real bonus that we should be mindful of. From listening to the conversation, I think that it's obvious that this is not a perfect system, and the efforts from all concerned are to try to make the best of what we have. And so I think John has, from a philosophical standpoint, tried to do that and reward those that even the department heads see fit. So any other discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve, but I have one condition, and that is that in about 3 to 4 months, you bring us back. I want to see if, after giving the raise, if somebody's salary went down, if their take-home went down.
Okay.
Because I still have concern about it as
Okay.
to whether they really got a raise or they didn't get a raise.
I understand. Okay, we'll take care of it.
Okay.
We'll bring it back in the spring.
We have a motion from Dr. Hashmi. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Pickle. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Janice, item 14.
Discuss and possibly act on changes for meeting dates in November and December.
Okay, and
John can address it.
either one of you.
Well, as much as we all love council meetings, I just like to jump out there and say I'd like to see us cancel the second meeting of November and December. One's Christmas week and one's Thanksgiving week. Last year, what we did was a little bit different. We canceled the November meeting and just moved the December meetings up by a week. That way we end up only canceling one meeting. So if you did that this year, your December 8th meeting would be on the 1st, and your December 22nd meeting would be on the 15th. That's what we did last year. I don't know if y'all remember that or if you liked it or disliked it. The only problem with that was, I do remember the first meeting, first Monday of the month is also P&Z night. So when we did that last year, we had P&Z and council the same night. It wasn't really a problem, but just for what it's worth, so.
Can I ask a question on that? How many, I mean, are there a lot of pending issues during this time, or?
Not right now. We've actually tried to shoot, and we've got a staff meeting in the morning, like we always do after council meeting. We're trying to direct most of our things for the December 10th meeting, or December 8th meeting, December 8th. So I'm thinking we can work it to where it doesn't mess anything up. Of course, we can always add a meeting if we had to anyway, but we're trying to work it to where we got everything on the 8th anyway. Not that this isn't a lot of fun.
Right, I understand, and I certainly enjoy everyone's company, but,
and we can always play it by ear too. You know, you could just cancel the 22nd meeting of November, and we could always, on the 8th, decide if you want to meet on the 22nd of December. Or whatever, I mean, you know.
Okay.
I don't think anyone wants to meet on 22nd of December.
Yeah,
but-
well, no, I wouldn't think either, so.
So, anybody have any?
Christmas.
Sure.
I would propose that we do what Mr. Godwin suggested, and that's have one meeting in each of the next 2 months,
Right.
at the beginning of those months. And if an emergency situation arises, we can get together and find time to have another meeting.
So scratch the second meeting from both November and December?
Yes, that would be my
How does everyone
motion.
feel about that? Benny?
I feel good about that.
Any reservations from Dr. Hashmi or Mr. Pickle?
I'm easy.
Mr. Jenkins, you haven't chimed in? Okay, so why don't we just play it that way and we'll
Do we
scratch
need
the-
a second?
Aaron said.
Okay,
Aaron
thank
said
you.
second.
Okay, so we'll take a vote on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 15,
I don't know of anything.
future events or items to be discussed?
There is the flag ceremony at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning for Veterans Day, for those of you that are available.
Okay.
And I take it from this placard that you've given go-ahead on this groundbreaking ceremony? I mean, there's enough, there's enough stuff in motion that.
We don't need to take a motion on the groundbreaking, but we do have one coming up, so that's good news.
Okay, good.
Okay, with that, we'll move to item 16.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Second from Mayor, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.